Direct from Foxborough, Massachusetts, the gem of Norfolk County, and taped at the studios of Foxborough Cable Access. It's Foxborough Central, and here's your host, Bob Hickey.
Through the magic of television, here we are at Gillette Stadium. We're behind the scenes, we're deep in the bowels of Gillette Stadium. We're going to meet up with Steve Carter, Executive Director of Monday Night Football. ESPN puts it on, we all watch it, but how does it get done? This is going to be pretty exciting. We just have to look around and find them. A lot of stuff back here, a lot of technology, a lot of equipment. But we'll find them. Come with me. Way inside Gillette Stadium, and here we are with Steve Carter. Steve, with ESPN. It's great to meet you.
Same here. How you doing, Bob?
I'm doing great, and gotta ask, you told me a lot of titles. I missed them all. What are you doing right now? I mean, it's such a big production. I can't believe that this is all your under your purview.
It is. I'm senior manager of event remote operations.
Okay.
For ESPN, I do NFL and some other events. This right now is obviously my primary event, being that we are in the middle of the NFL season, but then in the off season I do other shows such as the NFL Draft and the SB Awards and things like that.
Well, here in Foxborough, we know we have the stadium, we know we have the productions, and during the broadcast they always do a nice shot of our common, but so much more goes into this. And just in walking in here and finding you, which was a task unto itself, it's just the scope of this is amazing. Can you give us a little taste of what all goes into this production?
Sure. We've got 3 production trucks for the game operation, and we also have a studio operation that does a pregame show throughout the afternoon, and then Monday Night Countdown starting at 6:30 tonight, and then they'll do postgame as well. So they have their own separate truck. We rolled these trucks in about 10 o'clock Friday morning, hooked them up, unloaded with a couple of freight haulers with equipment we had to unload. And then most of the crew came in, or started coming in on Saturday to actually start the setup, interconnecting the trucks, getting the trucks ready for the game itself. And then Sunday, we built all the cameras external. We walked out of here about 7 o'clock last night, show ready.
Wow. So Gillette Stadium, being as newly constructed, and most of the vehicles have been brought into bays inside the stadium. Mm-hmm. How does this compare with other places? Obviously, you go to all the venues, so how does Gillette compare?
Actually, Gillette Stadium is very good. We changed some of our technologies this year. We're not using a Triax-based camera, we're using a fiber-based camera, so we need to use SMPTE hybrid fiber cable, which not a lot of stadiums have, but we can also use single-mode fiber, which Gillette has quite a bit of. Okay. The good thing is, though, is that the trucks that we can't fit inside, we can fit outside, and it's all level. That's probably one of the more important things.
Nice. So it's all fiber now?
Our cameras are all fiber, yeah.
So that is the future until, of course, the next future thing comes.
Well, it is the future. Right now we're using the Sony 2500 cameras, which are, like I said, fiber-based. We're 720p as our HD standard, but next year we're replacing all of these trucks with 4 brand new trucks that are going to be 1080p capable, and the hope is to do the entire show in 1080p.
Wow. And how will that differ from what we're seeing now? And right now HD is so much dramatically different and better and improved over what it was just 5 years ago. So how does that improve the camera?
Well, it's more resolution, of course, and it's a progressive versus an interlace format. So we feel to give you the best of the best between 1080i and 720p. It won't make it to the home. The cable companies aren't capable. We aren't even prepared yet. We're building a new broadcast facility that can handle 1080p, but right now we'll actually cross-convert it to 720p to send it through our production facility in Bristol. But at the same time, we'll take the 1080p and record it into our servers, so we'll have an archive of the game in 1080p.
You know, the best thing about this is that I have no idea what he's talking about, but I know a lot of you at home who are into the audio and into the video, and many of the volunteers at Cable Access. This is good stuff, so I really appreciate you going into that level of detail.
No problem.
For me, how did you get into this? Obviously, you didn't just wake up one morning and say, I'm going to bang 4 trucks out, we're going to put on the production. What's the beginning?
The beginning for me was I thought I wanted to be an electronics repair person of some sort. And in high school, I got into a little bit of lighting and some very single camera, half-inch reel-to-reel videotape, black and white stuff. And I said, oh, okay, this TV thing's kind of neat. And I thought, well, I think I want to be a maintenance engineer. And I went to college, I got an electrical engineering degree, and I worked in local access and back 100 years ago. And the technology's come a long way since then. And from there, back then I had to get my FCC license, so I studied, got my license, got hired at a local TV station in Connecticut. I went to work at the station in Boston, and then finally got a job at ESPN, and I've been there since 1984.
Oh, 1984, and you've seen everything go from the standard to high def. And with this, and I hope folks at home can appreciate that we're in the middle of their work. I so appreciate Steve Kerr taking the time to be with us, because they're in the middle of their production. They're literally right now in the middle of work. He's taking some time out for us. We're not going to take too much more of his time, but folks at home, Foxborough Cable Access, and one of our cable operators is Michael Weber. He's our executive director, and he grew up through cable access, and from that he's become the best executive director any cable access company could ever want. Our sound guy, Chris Kelly, he's on his way to becoming the next best cable access director anybody could ever want. I understand you also have a history of cable access.
Well, I started when I was in college, building a local access setup, and I went over there one day and poked my head in and started talking to them, and the next thing you know, they hired me part-time and then hired me full-time, and I did that throughout college, and then from there I moved on to, once I got my FCC license, I moved on to broadcast.
Wow, so it would be fair to say then that if it wasn't for cable access, you'd be doing something else.
Very well could be.
There you go.
Very well.
And even if it's not fair to say that, we're going to say it anyway. So, and I'm being given the high sign. I know you've got many places to go. On a final note, this huge operation, ESPN, broadcasting here at Gillette Stadium, what is it that we, the viewer at home, should be looking at that's really special to you in this production?
Wow. I just think we do it so much better than anybody else. We've got 32 cameras, 5.1 audio, we've got 30 replay angles, we've got, we're going to cover it every which way. We've got Spider Cam, which is the camera with the cables on the field, which we're the only ones that are using that. It does things that the other systems can't do. I just think that from a football game perspective, you are going to get the best coverage for watching Monday Night Football.
Well, Steve, thank you so much. It's been
You're
great
welcome.
meeting you.
My pleasure.
And for everybody at home, as you watch Monday Night Football tonight, or whatever night it is you're watching Monday Night Football, these are the people that put together. What a production.
So we're a company called Sport Vision, and what we do is we track all of the virtual graphics on the field. And what we have to do is figure out where the camera is looking, either panning, tilting, and zooming, and then we have to get that information down to the TV truck. So we have sensors up on the cameras which measure pan left and right, tilt up and down, and zoom in and out. And we turn that data into an audio signal, and it runs down a microphone line right into the TV trucks, so it can work on anywhere there's a camera, we can work. And then we turn that data, we have all these values that we get from our pan head, which is voltages basically, which read, and then we make sense of them. And we turn it into a virtual wireframe model of the field, and as our sensors track panning left and right, our wireframe model will track left and right exactly. And our computers are not looking at the video at all, so in the instance like today when it's raining and the field is covered, we can still sort of represent where things are in position on the football field because we're moving our wireframe model of the field. During the game, it's as simple as you click on the ball and that establishes your line of scrimmage, and then you can hit another button and that will generate where your first down line is. And you can turn them on, and then if you look up here, all of the cameras, I'm showing, since the field is covered, I'm showing my big grid just everywhere, but normally it would just be the lines. And you can also have the ability to put on the down and distance arrow. I can make it a little bigger here so we can see it. It's 1st and 10, and then we can put out the play clock and slide it in, and as you slide it around, if you take it off and you change it down, it could be like 2nd and 3rd and 12 or whatever you decide you want to do. Our graphics are really on top of everybody, but we make an illusion like the players are actually stepping on the graphics by doing what's called a chroma key, which is similar to in the movies you see a big green screen or the weatherman and a TV station. Over on this machine here, we choose all the colors of green that we want our graphics to show up on. And unfortunately, with the tarp on today, it's not a true representation, but wherever you see the yellow up there is where our graphics will show up. And so when they uncover the field, we'll go choose all the different colors of green grass and to be able to get our graphics to show up only on the green grass and not on somebody's arm or their foot or something.
Does that put you under some time pressure, or do you have plenty of time?
We got plenty of time, and we're constantly changing that because the video guys in the truck are constantly shooting the cameras, turning the brightness up and down, and changing the color hues a little bit. So we're out constantly chasing that to make sure that our graphics look pretty seamless.
So, I'm assuming the difficult games are when there's snow on the field, partial snow.
Yeah, the big difficult games are anytime you get conflicting colors, say a muddy field when the mud and the dirt gets onto the jerseys. Then you have mud and grass stains on a white jersey, and you're going to draw on their green jersey. Or when you're doing a Green Bay Packers or New York Jets game, and they have green socks or green pants or whatever, and we'll have troubles with drawing on top of their pants. But for the most part, green grass is pretty specific, so we're pretty controlled as to what we can draw on. But occasionally we break the illusion. But
Watch
we're
out for
pretty
the
good
blue
at it.
field in Boise.
Yeah. We also do we also enhance the Sky Cam or the Spider Cam instant replays, which is a different technology which doesn't use our sensors. It's all image recognition, and so we enhance the instant replays for the Spider Cam. And essentially it looks very similar to what we do over here, except every play we have to drag the wireframe model into position and then do some tracking. And the camera's not moving, so it's not a really good demonstration today, but every play we get this sort of tracked in and be able to roll a replay and have the line drawn. We also do a couple other effects down the line here. We do virtual goalpost extensions, and we also do a graphic called tackle box. So the tackle box graphic is where we would put this little element on the field and be able to see where an intentional grounding call is. And all of these graphics just track seamlessly because of the pan heads, the sensors that are on the camera pan heads. And we can pretty much draw anything we want on the football field, and it's a track without us having to do any user intervention. It's just automatic because of the instrumentation we have on the computers. And down at the other end is ESPN's emerging technology, which they do similar stuff to what we do, except they have they're doing some robotic cameras, which is and they can't put the sensors on there, so they're doing an image recognition technology. So they're looking at the video and figuring out where the line should be. So it's a different technology than how we do the lines over on the Sport Vision side, but and they both have their benefits and they both have their downsides. And so on this show, on the Monday Night Show, we use a mixture of both technologies. Most football shows are either one or the other. You're either doing Sport Vision lines or you're doing the ESPN style lines, the visual lines. And on this big show, we do both because we have different cameras with different needs.
So that's the distinction, is which camera's assigned to which system?
Well, yeah, because it's the technology of each camera is the basically the footprint of the camera. On the main game cameras, you have the big tripod and the big sensor pan head, and that's where we put our sensors in that measure the panning and the tilting.
Yeah.
They have the need on this show to do two little robotic cameras that are hanging up in the stands as well, and so they can't put our bulky sensors on there, so they need an image recognition technology to be able to do the line, and that's what the ESPN Emerging Technologies is really strong at doing.
They will show up on, I think, Saturday morning. They've already talked to the stadium, so they got their power runs where they need to go. The interesting thing about SpiderCam, it's a European system, so it operates at 400 volts, which is not a standard system in the US. So they try to get 480 volt three-phase and down to transform it down to 400 volt. If not, they'll go 208 and transfer it up to 400 at each of their real locations. And then they have their own patent designed 3D pulleys that they put up somewhere with typically the lighting grid. They run their cables up, hook the thing up, and the system it's really slick. They can do, certainly all the systems can do the X and the Y axis, but they can do the Z axis better than anyone. And there are times they can go. We were at a game in Pittsburgh, and they were about 5 or 10 feet away from the singer of the national anthem at eye level, and just started to pull back to reveal this gigantic field-sized American flag that was pulled up and out of the way. It's not unusual to get down to 3 feet and get behind 15 feet behind the kicker as he kicks the ball. It's a really cool system.
So how many people are operating that? Just one?
There's 2 people operating. There's a pilot that actually drives the rig itself and does the X, the Y, and the Z. Sitting right next to him is a camera operator who now has the pan, tilt, zoom, and focus. So they're obviously working very close with each other, and they've had some time together, and they work with the director, and so they've pre-planned some shots and stuff. Their flying range is bigger than some of the other systems that are out there. It's a whole different concept, and it's I call it the second generation. It takes all the great things about the systems that are out there now and then improves upon them.
So if it can go down to 3 feet, I mean, is there a safety issue there in terms of?
It has limits built into it. They can set parameters. They can set X, Y, and Z limits. So
Right.
You'll say you go to this point and stop, you go to this height and stop, or this,
But in terms of knowing your surroundings, like lowering down on someone's head or that kind of thing.
Well, they always have line of sight. So they not only have their monitors, they can look over their monitor and see exactly where the rig is.
So they're doing it from out there.
They're doing it from a booth in the stadium, but they can
So they know
see-
what they're doing.
They
Yeah,
can
they
see
see.
whoever it's going to fly. They can see that flying range.
Gotcha.
They are very careful in any of their movements. Anytime they get down below 6 feet, 'cause during the game, this is only when clocks are stopped, by the way. When clocks are running, their minimum height is about 15 to 18 feet. So they can stay at those heights.
Because I don't know of any instance where it's interfered with the gameplay. So there
Not
have to be some
on
rules.
Spider Cam has it. The other systems in years past, there have been some incidents. So there's been equipment failure. Other ones, there's been a couple of instances where it actually hit the ground. Knock on wood, it's never happened with Spider Cam. The whole system just operates so much more smoothly. It's faster. I mean, the nice thing about it is you can start behind the player, run him with the ball, you can pass him out, come around, and you're facing him. And so the other systems work faster to do that.
Certainly going to have a different view of the game tonight as we watch at home, knowing all
Different
the
view.
things that have gone into it.
Yeah, exactly. You think about it. Years ago, you watch a football game from the side. Cameras 1, 2, and 3, and you wonder why the hell did that guy run to the pack of players? From the Spider Cam perspective, there's a giant hole there. Now I understand why he's running through that. So
Well, as we watch the game experience. at home.
yeah, exactly. And we implemented that aerial camera platform years ago. We got it approved for the NFL, and it's basically any high-level game that will have it.